Mr. Abbas, what do you think about the latest situation in Syria? Why do you think the international community is awkwardly quiet in the face of all the massacres going on in there?
This is a very important question, and this is a very painful question, because watching television and reading about all the news items of atrocities and violence and what the ordinary citizens are going through, and it's painful. But I would also like to mention that it's not only happening in Syria, and to make the case of Syria more effective, we need to see whether and condemn violence wherever it is taking place, whether it is taking place in Bahrain or Iran or Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or Afghanistan. Violence and violations of human rights is a bad thing wherever it is happening in Middle East or elsewhere. Secondly, my serious concern is that what we had seen in Libya, the impact of which we are seeing in some parts of the African countries, and I can give you more examples from Afghanistan. Wherever conflict happens, we have seen in the last 30 years that many radicals go and try to benefit from these scenes. All those who believe in a distorted version of Islam, if I may call that, they are in great minority, but they are very loud voices. My also concern is that as bad as Bashar al-Assad and his regime is, and they are doing terrible things, and I think they don't deserve to be at the helm of affairs, and anything that the international community can do within the larger parameters of United Nations and international law to tell the Assad regime actually to help them maybe pack up. It's time for them to pack up. But at the same time, we have to be concerned with all this new model that is emerging, which is that wherever there is conflict, it quickly is interpreted as or trying to force it into a sectarian proxy war, and then people from various countries move in, like in Afghanistan, and they become a menace of their own. We can't afford another Afghanistan where a new Al-Qaeda is born. I am also concerned about Al-Qaeda too rising from the ashes of the Syrian conflict. So we have to be careful. We want a smooth transition. We need to force the Syrian regime, and I think many countries, including Turkey, are playing a very important role. Other countries should stand up, have the courage, tell the Assad regime that this is not on, this is not acceptable. Those countries will be able to say this to Syria if their own house is in order, and if they themselves, for example, in Afghanistan, or in Iraq, or in Iran, or in Saudi Arabia, these countries have to come together within the larger Muslim context, make a case that these human rights violations are first and foremost a violation of Islam than anything else. And of course, then under the international law and as a human being as well, at a human level. Why we are not seeing international support? I think it is because they initially thought that Assad regime, like some people used to say about Saddam Hussein, that yes, this is at least authoritarianism, but this is a stable system. And they didn't realize that under the stable systems, the ordinary people are paying through their nose. Their rights are not only being destroyed, their lives are at stake.
Exactly.
We need to explain it in a better fashion to the world. This is not a sectarian war that is going on in Syria. It is a human rights war. It is an authoritarian regime. And I wish all authoritarian regimes a bad luck, because I think that is what will help Middle East. But we need to also be careful about expanding the war in any sense. By expanding, I mean, in the modern state system, if people, radicals or extremists from other countries start joining in the battle, and if they're allowed to go in and start their own these small militant factions, once Assad regime or Bashar al-Assad will no more be there, then it may lead to chaos and more crisis. That is what we need to learn from some of the other conflict zones, and hopefully a smooth transition should happen with the involvement of regional countries and international organizations such as United Nations. I will actually push for more role from United Nations, then what is